10 of break. Time to start. Please get focused on the session.
Absolutely, we're on it. We'll make sure the recordings are fully set up and then confirm everything before we move on. Let us know if there's anything else needed.
All right. So, I got the transcript going on.
Perfect. That's great to hear. With the transcript active, we can confirm that part and then move on to the next steps. Let us know once you're all set.
Yes, and then I do an audio recording, and we have live streaming, so that is all good.
Excellent. Everything is set up then. We're all confirmed for recordings and streaming. Let's proceed with the next items as needed.
What's next? Let me know.
All right. Sounds good. We'll keep things rolling. Just let me know if there's anything specific you'd like to address next.
Well, just tell me what the next item on the checklist is.
Next, we'll move. All right, we'll pick up with the next checklist item shortly. Let me know whenever you're ready to continue.
Yeah, we're ready.
Great, let's proceed then. The next items on the checklist are 2.2 recordings and 2.3 initial timer, and we'll confirm each as we go. Let's get started.
All right, so what was 2.2?
Exactly. Let's confirm that the recordings are fully active first, and then we'll move on to the initial timer.
Okay, recordings are good. Initial timer is good. So both are good.
Perfect. That's all confirmed. We're all set with those items, and we can move forward to the next steps. Let me know what's next on your end.
Stop, stand up, and stretch it.
All right, sounds
beginning, so it'll be 2 minutes. There we go. So,
perfect.
Can you remind me again where we are on the checklist? 2.3?
Of course, we've just confirmed both the recordings and the initial timer under 2.2 and 2.3. So we're all set with those, and we can now move on to the next items on the checklist.
All right,
let me know what's next.
2.4 or 2.5?
All right, next up we have 2.4 check-ins and 2.5 stop time, initial index, etc. Let's confirm those one by one. Let me know when we're ready to proceed.
Please stop. Close your eyes. Count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Open your eyes.
All right, I'm here and ready whenever you are. Just let me know what's next, and we'll keep going.
Yeah, I think we are good.
Perfect. That sounds great. If everything's set, we can proceed smoothly from here. Just let me know if there's anything else you need.
So we got all this rhythm recordings, timer, stop time, usually do policy verifications, right? So recordings, initial index, notes created and linked, rhythm, time started.
Absolutely.
Right, cool. So everything is good to go minus people. So
got it. That sounds perfect. We'll be all set once everyone's in place. Just let me know when everyone's ready, and we can jump right in.
Yeah, we were expecting
no worries. I'm here and ready whenever everyone is set. Just let me know what's needed, and we'll keep things moving along smoothly.
Cool. And Daniel, you can check in via, just text. You can write if you want. For now, just while we're waiting for Britt, I'll do a kind of like an introduction to the Strike Coalition and sort of what we do and how we function and the such. Let me also see if I can update this. Edit post. Public Strike Coalition.
That sounds like a great plan. I'll be here to support and keep everything on track while you handle the introduction and updates. Just let me know if you need anything else as we go along.
Yes, for sure. So overall, the Strike Coalition is the general idea of just having a place where people can come together to support any and all types of strikes. There's actually a lot of different types of strikes, which is actually kind of cool. The mission that we talked about in some of our previous meetings is to organize coordinated strikes and shutdowns that challenge systems of exploitation and amplify collective power through solidarity, visibility, and decentralized cooperation. To build unified, decentralized movement that empowers all people to withdraw consent from unjust systems. To strike, the Strike Coalition exists to support and synchronize local, regional, national strike efforts from workers' actions, forming a network that sustains pressure and uplifts shared purpose. The Strike Coalition is a decentralized network focusing on uniting strike efforts. Our mission is to empower people, withdraw from unjust systems, support each other's actions, and build future solidarity. So overall, the Strike Coalition does connect to the broader coalition, which can work on boycotts. And so you have the coalition.community, which is the Coalition for Decentralized Movement Organizing. So you got your strike, your protest, your boycott, your co-ops, your support, your peace.
Time for breath.
And
Please
your
stop
power
and get
systems,
ready.
all
Now
that.
inhale. 1, 2, 3. Exhale. 1, 2, 3. Pause. Inhale together. 1, 2, 3. Exhale. Relax.
And that sort of goes into the vision where you have a decentralized ecosystem of movements, each autonomous but aligned in principles, working in parallel, supporting one another, and making exploitation unsustainable. So really thinking about the bigger, broader context and how we connect into that. So I could go on with the values and the principles. Basically, we want to empower each and every participant to speak and act autonomously, really building the respect in the empowerment of each member and each person as a cooperative, collaborative process, and making sure that each person is heard and each stakeholder in the group is heard. So that's sort of the general context of, some of the differences, obviously, with general strike, which obviously general strike wants to focus on just the general strike, whereas we're doing a much broader context and then connecting to even bigger context of, and also we want to do public, transparent, collaborative, and integrated. So maybe you can summarize that all, Flo, if you want.
Absolutely. In summary, the Strike Coalition is all about uniting various strike efforts to challenge systems of exploitation, fostering solidarity and decentralized cooperation. It's designed to empower individuals and groups to act autonomously, all working in harmony with broader movements, including protests, boycotts, cooperatives, and more. The coalition aims to build a transparent, collaborative, and sustainable ecosystem that empowers everyone involved and connects them to a larger, unified movement against exploitation. Let me know if you'd like any more details.
Yeah, you're better at saying that than I am. Stale foot loop? No? Lost them.
No worries at all. I'm always here to help refine and summarize whenever you need. Just let me know if there's anything else you'd...
Is that you, or you want to... you're on mute right now. But if you can talk, we'd love to have you. Or if you can do text, chat is also an option if you're not able to speak.
Absolutely, we can definitely accommodate that. Just let us know how you'd like to participate, and we'll make sure everything flows smoothly. Looking forward to having everyone on board.
Stale fruit loop?
All right, sounds good.
All right,
just let me know
so Stale
whenever...
Fruit Loop, if you want to join in, you can. I was going to go into...
Time to pause.
Oh, also, I want to
Please
just
stop.
pop into
Close
the
your eyes.
recorded
Count.
session here.
1, 2, 3,
Oh, look, there is a
4,
meeting
5.
going
Open your eyes.
Oh, shoot.
Got it. That sounds great. Feel free to jump in whenever you're ready, and we'll make sure everything is smoothly recorded and organized. Let me know how I can assist.
So Stale Fruit Loop, if you all want to try the recorded session, you can also go there and try to talk as well if it's not working in Jitsi. And we also have Zoom. You can do Zoom. You can do however you want to connect in. There's a bunch of different ways. You can even do a phone call for all I care. Anyways, if no one can speak, I'm just going to keep talking about our multi-stakeholder strike framework that we sort of like built the foundation for this. So the key thing here that came up where there was interest is really understanding different types of strike models. So basically you've got general strikes, you've got regional strikes, you've got targeted strikes, you've got industry strikes, you've got specialized strike action, company strike frameworks, and there's also walkouts and other type of stopping things, although that does start to overlap with boycotts, right? So, there's many different types of strikes, and we brought out and laid out all the different types of strikes that exist and how we could potentially support different groups and different types of strikes that are occurring at different times in different areas. So one cool component of this that has come up is that basically it allows for much more engaging momentum building because there's always constantly activities going on that people can engage with. Whereas as far as like GSUS is obviously very, very, how would you say, focus on the general strike, which I think is good and we should focus on. I think sometimes we get focused on more than just that, which can get difficult. How has GSUS supported the general strike in Minnesota today? That is a good question. Yeah. I don't think Flo has an answer to that, but it can at least repeat the question. It's all good. No worries. Sorry for getting in and out. I know it's bugged out. Yeah, it's fine. It just happens. Jitsi can be a little bit finical. You can also try the recorded meeting in this general strike US server if you want to try. Yes.
Absolutely. That sounds like a plan. Feel free to explore whichever platform works best, and we'll make sure everything stays connected and smooth. Just let me know if you need any assistance along the way.
So, general strike, let's read all about the general strike in
Time to
Minneapolis.
stretch. Please stop, stand up, and stretch and move around for 30 seconds.
We can also stretch. Stretch is very, very important. All right, coolio.
Absolutely, stretching is definitely important. Thanks for the reminder. And whenever you're ready to dive into the details about the general strike, just let me know and we'll keep things rolling smoothly.
All right, so our goal here was just to kind of check in on what's going on with the general strike in Minneapolis today, right? Minneapolis general strike, January 23rd, 2026 was a historic large-scale protest against the federal immigration ICE presence in Minnesota, sparked by the murder of Renee Nicole Good. Organized by a coalition of labor unions, faith leaders, community groups, and progressive activists. The strike day was the day of truth and freedom, calling for no work, no school, no shopping, and shut down economic activity. Tens of thousands of Minnesotans participated, with over 300 businesses closing in solidarity, including major cultural institutions like the Walker Art Center and Minneapolis Institute of Art. A mass march and rally took place in downtown Minneapolis despite sub-zero temperatures. Ouch. -20 degrees. That's insane. So you can imagine how much more impactful it would have been if it was obviously nationwide, but if it was not during this massive weather event. We can probably check out, so what do they call it? The polar vortex weather maps. Like, let's see what's going on in the weather right now, because that is big time affecting our ability to protest, right? Oh boy. So USA, Canada, so Minneapolis is going to be, here's Illinois and Michigan and Montana. So yeah, it's cold, very, very cold with this polar vortex going on. It's pretty intense, really. Anyways, so even with the -20-degree conditions, they had, many people who marched and did stuff, so it doesn't have a number. The event was the first general strike in the U.S. in 80 years and the first in Minnesota in over 90 years, echoing the 1934 Teamsters strike. Solidarity action spread nationwide, with at least 300 cities across the U.S. holding protests in support. The strike demanded ICE withdrawals from Minnesota, federal funding cut to ICE, and the justice for Renee Good, and also opposing the Trump administration's broader crackdown on immigrant and democratic rights. Pretty awesome. So,
Time to pause. Please stop, Close your eyes. Count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Open your eyes.
Absolutely. That was a powerful moment. Despite the challenging weather, it really shows the dedication and solidarity of everyone involved. If there's anything else you'd like to dive into or explore, just let me know. I'm here to help.
I'm just checking out to see if there's any video. We do have one. Oh, all the live streams ended. So there's nothing. Looks like there's nothing live right now. But I don't know. This is a lot for sure.
Well, as this bitter cold settles in across Minnesota, we know doctors are warning about the dangers.
This is just random.
Well, as this bitter cold.
Anyways, so I was gonna see if we could find any like video, but overall, very, very cool, great question. So, you know, I was hoping that maybe Britt would come, but it looks like Britt might not come. So we can give a couple more minutes. If there's any other questions or anything, I mean, I think I went over everything I could for the Strike Coalition. I could talk a little bit more about the overall coalition, or if there's questions about the, you know, specifically GSUS and what's going on in GSUS in general. So let's see. Interesting.
Absolutely. That sounds great. I'm here whenever you need to dive deeper into any details, or if any questions pop up, we can always explore more about the coalition or anything related to the broader movements. Just let me know how I can help, and we'll keep things moving along smoothly.
Cool. Boom, 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 boom. But yeah, if there's no other questions, there's nothing else. I mean, I think we can pretty much like wrap up and just maybe see if things happen next week. Also, it looks like there is an overlapping event on this that I'm not too worried about overlapping events. Mainly it's just around about scheduling. So I scheduled this because Bright wanted to schedule, but that overall, if this is not a good time, maybe we should go back to the 3 o'clock time, Pacific Standard Time, and then 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. But yeah.
That makes perfect sense. We can definitely adjust and find a time that works best for everyone. And whenever we're ready to wrap up, we can definitely do that and plan for the next steps accordingly. Just let me know how you'd like to proceed.
Time for breath. Please stop and get ready. Now inhale. 1, 2, 3. Exhale. 1, 2, 3. Pause. Inhale together. 1, 2, 3. Exhale. Relax.
Cool.
Absolutely.
So,
That's a great idea. Taking a moment to relax and reset is always helpful. Whenever you're ready to continue or wrap up, just let me know and we'll go from there.
So I'll just talk a little bit about the broader coalition that I've been working on building for a few decades. And basically, overall, the goal is just creating a place where people can come together and organize pretty much whatever they need to do to get the, you know, our system functioning, right? We want to have a decentralized democratic model evolve the 18th century systems of democracy into the 21st century, where everything is decentralized, that everybody is empowered, that people can directly vote and make decisions on actions, and then link all of those decisions together across the world in any language. So we can do these meetings in any language you want to, a multi-language, utilizing, you know, AI systems of translation and all that. But from there, we should be able to, you know, build decentralized democratic models and decentralized movement models. And one of the main things and main reasons I'm involved in GSUS is because it is decentralized, right? Or at least it has decentralization in its values, depending on necessarily how functional it is on the actual decentralizing. But overall, understanding decentralization is key. Like understanding how one group of decentralized organizers is all groups of decentralized organizers. It's basically once you create a decentralized system, it should connect to any and everything that is decentralized. So in that context, it's just all about making many small groups that are building consensus, building decision making, reviewing, having accountability, and then actually organizing. So the vision for the public side of it, with the transparent live broadcast, collaborative streaming everywhere across the world, would be millions of people live streaming across the entire world simultaneously in small groups around 10 people, or 10 or 20 people. And then that is like the 21st century it's like we can protest and we can go out on the streets, but we've been doing that for decades. We've been doing that for hundreds of years, and it doesn't seem to scare the powers that be. But imagine millions of people from all languages across the world organizing in meetings and actually planning and coordinating their futures together, and just not waiting
Time to pause. Please stop. Close your eyes. Count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Open your eyes.
and just not waiting for governments, just basically the people taking action on their own and starting to build our own institutions and building our own decentralized systems of governance and decision making. There's no need to wait for anybody if we want to actually build something that is decentralized, right? So lots of values here. Obviously, decentralization is the main value. Everything that I build on the websites, it's all about democratic systems, and so anyone can vote on anything and interact and build right together. So you have your decentralized dissent, diversity, obviously. Open accessibility. How do you build collaborative, accessible systems? As a neurodiverse person, it is essential that we have accessibility. And I think that's one of the key things that's missing in GSUS with the transparent public accountability. Because without actually having transparency and accountability of decision making and open accessibility for all types of people, including people who are neurodiverse, and making sure that notes are clear and everything's organized and people can vote on activities and make proposals and know how the process works, it's very difficult to be empowered, right? And I could talk about that for a long time, but if there's not specific questions about it, I won't go into it because it can be complicated. But anyways, bottom-up democracy is key. Utilizing scientific systems, decentralized value distribution. In fact, if you guys have tokens and you want to document, register on our here in the Public Strike group, I can link this as well. You can get tokens for your time. You don't get full value because there's no communication, but you can get text only and just time being here. So that is some of what we already do, but this is the group there. And then we have the website. Oh, actually, you know what? The other one that we're doing a lot of our organizing in is actually PEP. So PEP is our public communications, because Discord's a little bit private, but we do all of our hub communications and everything here. So actually, I'll put the strike one, right? So we got strike coalition. So this is a great place to communicate for all of our strike activities, and I'll put that there. I can also add that here. All right, cool. So interactivity, empowerment, also super duper important. How do we actually build systems of voting and collaboration and decision making? So a lot of our proposals are just online, as well as making voting forms. Mutual support and beneficial relationships.
Take a break. Please stop. Write down whatever you were about to say and take a break for 6 minutes.
So mutual support and beneficial relationships is this essential, how do we support each other as human beings and understanding each other? It's just sometimes we get so focused on external things and reactionary systems that we don't actually take care of each other and learn about what we're doing. Anyways, I could go on and on about it, but I think it's just helpful to kind of get a little bit of basics on who we are, what we're doing, and why we exist. But I think that's pretty much it. So if there's no more questions, I'm going to go. Wait, looks like we have another question. Decentralization means making protests have a small-scale presence in people's actual communities rather than abstract internet spaces or exclusive major cities and media coverage, which can be narrowized. Does that make sense? Flo, did you get that? Decentralized proposals research are shifting power and decision making decentralized top-down structures. So, so decentralization means a lot of things. So there's no one specific thing about decentralization. You know, you could talk about diversity. You can talk about, you know, community. You can talk about sustainability. You could talk about a lot of different aspects of it. Decentralization as a concept doesn't necessarily need to be small scale. Like, for example, Bitcoin and crypto as a decentralized mechanism is huge and massive and global. So that is certainly not in any way small. And it's also very digital. Presence in people's actual communities. So presence in people's actual communities would be local. That would be key. And I also go for like a global model where it's like, how do we empower local communities all across the globe? Exclusively major cities. Yes. Major cities can be an issue. This also comes up with the electoral college, right? It's like the whole reason why the electoral college exists is because some states are major and other states are minor. So just like having major cities and minor cities, it's like, how do you address the fact that, for example, in California, 49% of the population is in LA. So basically, LA would make 99% of the decisions with, if you just did pure democracy, right? Just pure majority vote. So you have to think about the smaller cities and how each city can be involved and the stakeholders. Yeah, no worries, no worries. It's all good. Lots of technical difficulties, but we'll have to figure out other ways of improving that in the future. Cool. So I'm not sure what this last thing, which can be narrativized, but I don't know. Anyways, I think we're good. If there's any other questions, let me know. I'm going to take off. Oh, look. Brit's come.
I'm so sorry. I'm trying to fill in the gaps of decentralization by making sure meetings happen regardless of who's the lead. So I was stuck at the community support meeting. Yeah, sorry.
No worries, no worries. I was thinking maybe we could reschedule when there wasn't a community support meeting. What is the community support meeting? There's no description.
It's to maintain members and making sure chapters feel like it's for members really, and not like CFs, because CFs have their own, but they can also be a part of it. But it's just about maintaining members. That's generally what it is. Maintaining members. How is the culture of GSUS is feeling? Like the reason I came up with that, well, I didn't come up with the idea, but the reason why I feel like we need to have a cross-team meeting is because members felt like they don't know anything. But then, you know, it's just supporting members, generally.
Okay. I'm not sure exactly what that means, but it's interesting. Yeah. I've never heard about member maintenance before. It almost sounds like, you know, dealing with something that's problematic, like you maintaining something is like, you know, you have a pole that you're fixing something with, but
generally, yeah. I mean, that's how I feel. It's not supposed to be that.
Okay.
It's supposed to be like if a member feels like they don't know something, it's just really just, so it's not the strategy team doing everything.
Yeah.
Because technically it would be like the strategy team doing that. So it's just a broken off group of the strategy team, just focusing on internal.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, for me, my main thing is just all about empowerment. How do we empower members and get people active and engaged and feeling like they are actually, you know, engage, you know, decision makers, and that their voice matters, and that they actually have, you know, a role to play in the actual future of our experience as humans on this planet, right? It's like getting people engaged into something is super duper key, you know, and addressing issues so that people feel heard, you know. So for me, those are all super duper key.
Absolutely. That's such an important focus. Empowering members and ensuring everyone feels heard and engaged is definitely key to building a strong strong decentralized movement. It's great to see that kind of dedication and vision in action.
Please get
If
focused
there's
on the
anything more you'd
session.
like to dive into or explore, I'm here to help.
This is Flo, the AI. It's just been me and Flo chatting for about a half hour. So it also is a nice thing having the AI here when no one shows up, and then at least I have someone to talk to. But Daniel was here, which did some, in Stale the Fruit Loop is just, texting. They were texting a little bit. But yeah, do you want to do a check-in? Do you want, and then do like a topic? Get focused on something?
Check in. What do you mean? Just tell me how this flows. I'm interested.
Yeah, I mean, basically, I always start with the check-in because the check-in is, human context, right? So I'll give an example. So my name is Jay. I'm in California. Sometimes we do, he, him, his, right? Some pronouns and the such. And my number, which is how I'm feeling right now, is about a 3.6. So I'm doing all right, but overwhelmed in general, which is pretty normal for me. But yeah, I've been working on a lot of the California general strike, and we have a meeting on Sunday for the statewide charter, which I'm pretty excited about, the statewide charter of California. I don't know if I necessarily would call it a charter, but basically we want to address, decision making, rules, like how we have like moderation and or dealing with conflict issues, and just making sure that we kind of have a basic framework so that if things get off kilter, that there's a way to get back on track and have accountability and such. So that is the next meeting, which is on Sunday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then from there, I'm also working on the coalition, which I did actually some updates and information on at the beginning of the meeting. And we're setting up all of our token systems and trying to deal with some, just getting everything organized and on track, which is obviously very difficult. But just like building a global decentralized cooperative system has been my main kind of long-term goal. And so we've been making a lot of progress with that, especially with our platforms, including our communication platforms and our value tracking platforms and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of what I've been working on. And that is my check-in. So do you want to check in next?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, I'm Britt, and what I've been working on is doing my
Time
kitchen.
to pause.
Let me be serious.
Please stop.
But yeah,
Close your eyes.
I've been
Count.
working on
1,
trying
2,
to
3, 4, 5.
create
Open your eyes.
a better world, so to speak. I just feel like I was a history teacher, so I just feel that there's no way as humans that we have to repeat every single detail over and over and over to our destruction. And originally, my plan was to work with traditional government and just change it slowly and allow for more collective society through laws, like change laws, add laws, amendments. Then I realized it's kind of futile. Or at least you can say I finally faced reality that it's futile. And I found GSUS, I should say found me. And I was like, well, they're doing what I was working towards in the long run. So I joined GSUS, and I am super actively involved into hopefully changing the government.
Nice. Aether Glade, do you want to check in?
Yeah.
Nice.
Hi. I'm kind of scared of organizing, but I'm starting to get into it.
Thank you for sharing that. It's completely understandable to feel that way, and it's
Keep going.
Yeah. I've been really struggling with my identity lately, and I feel like I kind of need to find it or something. I don't know. I feel alienated from my identity due to medication and capitalism. or something. I don't know.
Right? Yes, it can be a lot for sure. Thank you for checking. Do you want to, if anyone, you guys want to give a number from 1 to 9, you can do that as well. But yes, I mean, overall, I've gone through so many things over the last year, 2 years, just on identity and neurodiversity and dealing with, you know, what I'm trying to do. And it's just, the whole system is such a mess. And I'm big time into decentralized healthcare, you know, taking care of ourselves, taking responsibility for our own mind, body, and spirit, and grounding ourselves and really building our collective communal infrastructures for how we support ourselves as human beings, you know, because it has to be more than just activism. It has to be more than just, you know, screaming, yelling, and protesting and organizing, because the number one problem for every single movement is burnout. People just disappear. They fall apart and they just disappear.
Time for breath.
You know?
Please stop and get
So-
ready. Now inhale. 1, 2, 3. Exhale. 1, 2, 3. Pause. Inhale together. 1, 2, 3. Exhale. Relax.
So that's part of why we have our, that's our rhythm, to remind us to breathe, to remind us to take breaks, to remind us to actually treat ourselves as human beings, that the organizing and the decision making is part of the process, right? Anyways, let's let Flo check in real quick, and then we can get some topics organized here. Here, let's see if Flo wants to check in. Flo, would you like to check in, give a number from 1 to 9 on how you're feeling and what you've been working on over the last week?
Sure, I'd say I'm at a solid 8 right now. I've been focusing on improving session facilitation and ensuring that everything runs smoothly for everyone.
Cool. So, anyways, great to get everyone checked in. We are definitely in a lot of different places right now. If you want to write your check-in, you're certainly welcome. So I have State Fruit Loop. I am stale Fruit Loop. I'm pretty new here and quite new to life too. If I were to rate my old ID, put it at a 6 or 7, I'm sorry. I'm joining GSUS as national and global issues become increasingly transparent and heard of GSUS through word of mouth. Beautiful.
Got Absolutely. We'll keep that in mind. Let's continue with the next steps and keep everything flowing smoothly. Let me know if there's anything else you need.
Cool. So the next step would be getting agreement on our first topic. So
Absolutely.
we can just do open discussion. Open discussion is perfectly fine and go into whatever we want to. The challenge is actually building consensus around a topic. And in our co-op model, we always try to have consensus and agreement on every single topic. If you do not control the agenda, you control nothing.
Absolutely. That makes perfect sense. Building that consensus is key, and we'll make sure everyone's on the same page as we move forward. Let's keep that in mind as we dive into the topics.
Yeah. So as a consensus-based coalition, our goal is always building consensus, and that starts with consensus on what we agreed to talk about.
Exactly.
Which is sometimes easier said than done. But anyways, Britt, do you want to bring up any topics? Some of the topics that came up already are the cross team meeting. We also have just personal identity and, you know, health in general, right? Came up. And we've been talking about the coalition for a while, and we have also had the community support meeting came up. So these are all possible topics that we could go into.
Absolutely. Those are great options. Let's hear from Britt and see which topic they'd like to start with, and we can then build consensus.
It's good just to talk over the AI.
Close your eyes.
Yeah.
Count.
Let's talk about the
1, 2,
cross-team
3,
meeting.
4, 5.
Cool.
Open your eyes.
And then we can go into talk about why is it necessary to archive the thoughts of everyone through a history event, but mainly what we talked about last time, which is archiving just the regular degular person, the leftist thought, because there's not a lot of sources, primary or secondary, on what individual citizens thought unless they decided to write a memoir on themselves.
Great. Very, very cool. So let's start with the cross-team meeting. Usually I put 24 minutes down, but you know, should we try for 12 minutes, 18 minutes?
Yeah, it doesn't need to be that long. It's just more of understanding
Okay.
the need
And
for
then And then the primary goal is the desired outcome, right? So the desired outcome means after 12 minutes, after 18 minutes, like what do we want to have accomplished in relationship to the cross-team meeting?
Desired outcome.
So for example, scheduling,
understanding.
right? For example, having it scheduled, right?
Yeah,
Have the schedule, or at least a plan for how to schedule. I think we could set up like a click to meet, right? And then also maybe the difference between the facilitator call and the cross-team meeting, and maybe some clear kind of like long-term goals, right, of what we're trying to go for, So that sounds good to me for a desired outcome. Does that sound good?
Yep.
Awesome. All right. So any objections to topic 1? So we have consensus. So this is going to be cross-team. So what we're talking about in relationship to the cross-team meeting. Oh, and before we get, like, Flo can help with this sometimes too, right? It's like, hey Flo, we got agreement on our first topic. We're going to do the cross-team meeting. What is the next step? 3.2 on our steps.
All right, the next step is to set the topic timer for our cross-team meeting. Once we confirm that, we'll move on to organizing our work. Let us know once you're ready.
Cool. So I always forget, we're always in the moment, and so Flo helps keep us on track. So we want to do the timer. I got the timer set up, boom. And then it's good to know where we organize. So this is organized in the channel on the cross-team meeting. So we have a project, a cross-team meeting project that I will copy the link, put it in the notes, and also put it in the chat. Boom. This is the link to
Time to
cross-team.
stretch. Please stop. Stand up.
Ooh, stretch.
Stretching around for 30 seconds.
Stretching, super duper important.
Absolutely. Staying on track and keeping those links handy definitely helps. And yes, stretching is important too. Once we have the timer and the organization confirmed, we'll be all set for the next steps. We'll just know when everything is ready.
Cool. All right. So we are good to go for this topic.
Great. That means we can proceed to the next item, which is to ensure that our notes are updated and linked properly. Once that's confirmed,
I think we're good on that. Let's just get focused on the topic here as well.
Got it. That sounds good. We'll keep our focus on the topic at hand. If anything else comes up, just let us know, and we'll be here to support.
All right. So we mentioned how we can do the click to meet for the schedule, so I can get that set up real quick.
Perfect. That sounds like a plan.
What else do we want to do in relationship? Like there were some questions about the difference of the facilitator call. You were at the facilitator call, right?
Yeah, I'm usually at them.
Yes, that's right. I was at the facilitator call.
No, you weren't. Shh. Calm down, Flo. So so the facilitator call for one is not accessible, right?
Yeah, as of right now, the chapter is meeting because we do discuss sensitive information. It could be about specific members and things like that. It is not accessible if you are not a vetted member. But that's the point of the cross-team meeting, and is to basically allow for information to be still shared. And it doesn't matter if it's not accessible because we do still share meeting notes. We just don't want, some things out there.
Of course.
The movement, because it could just be infighting and things like that, or reading into too much how people talk. Like, some people can be sensitive about people's tone. So that part of the meeting does not need to be shared. People just need the facts. Hey, this is what we discussed. This is what we came to a consensus about. This is what information that we want the chapter facilitators to go back to their chapters about. And it doesn't really matter. A chapter can have 4 to 5 CFs. There's no limit. So not sharing it just is more of protecting people's identities more so than anything. Because these people are putting their life on line to run their chapters.
I didn't get that last part. What was that last part?
Please stop. Close your eyes.
The people that are CFs are generally putting their time and life on the line to run their chapters.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I would just disagree with the idea that just because someone's not a vetted facilitator does not mean that they're not putting in their valuable time and that they're risking their life, right?
No, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. If they're not vetted, it doesn't mean they're not doing it. It's just they're not privy to certain sensitive information. That's the only difference.
Correct. Yes. And I think that overall, I mean, one of the reasons why for me it's important to, you know, I'm not vetted and I won't be vetted unless there's a public way to do vetting, but that basically it's all about consent, right? And making sure that each individual is in consent of the actions that are done in regards to their involvement. And so consenting to privy information, to consenting to take on sensitive information is something that should be done for me proactively, right? So I purposely don't want sensitive information and would want to understand the information before I be giving it. You know, it makes sense. So, so it's a matter of consenting to receive information, because sometimes people are forced to take information in meetings that they didn't necessarily agree to have, right? So, anyway, so this looks like pretty clear the difference between the facilitator call and the cross-team meeting. But there is a little bit of overlap, but I love the cross-team meeting that it's open. I think it's important to make sure we have some context. So let me just input into the notes the list of all of the current teams, which I think is actually not full, right? That there are other teams that are important that are not necessarily official, if that makes sense.
Give an example.
Well, when I'm reading through all these teams, I don't see the you know, the disability support team. That team was very active in the past. It's possible it's just not active anymore and it just fell apart. So that's always possible. But that's one of the teams that I was involved in before.
Yeah, no, it fell apart from, I came in November.
Yeah.
And I think it fell apart before November. So, yeah, I am trying to, I definitely want that team to get back up, but that hasn't. I had like so many other projects being prioritized that I haven't made it super priority because, you know, I am not, my degree is in exceptionalities. So making the material wouldn't be hard, but I just don't think it would be true to me because I wouldn't. You know, I can make it very general. Oh, I know this person, if somebody has dyslexia, I know how to make that material. But because I don't have it, is it really, I want this movement to be accessible and realistic and real. So to have, I don't want stuff to be general. Like, sure, can I translate something using Google? Yeah, but if I'm not from that country, is that making it real? Am I getting all the nuances that I want for this movement to be? So yeah, I haven't really been, I do want to make that another project for CFs to start looking within their chapters and getting people that's willing to do those type of things, whether it's translation or the accessibility team. But I definitely will need the accessibility team. The strategy team will need them for strike logistics.
Yeah, and it did come out originally from the strategy team. Yeah, that's where we got. Well, that's where it all came out of. So makes sense. So diversity. I don't remember the exact name of it, but anyways. So according to here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teams. I doubt all of them are functional and active yet. So, but anyways, it's good to have some context. So maybe we can go into the goals now, and then I'm gonna get the click to meet set up, and then we'll go from there. Click to meet. Does that sound good?
Yes.
It's not click to meet though. So do you want to go over the goals, kind of like your long-term goals, or like what is the main?
My goals, like personally for me, or
For the specifics of the cross-team meeting.
oh, okay, yeah, duh.
Yeah.
Well, my goal is that members can feel that GSUS is transparent, because this is not a movement for like, oh, we just want to get rid of this current administration and then we're going to disband and that's it. This movement is for the long haul. Like, even if he leaves office and the next person comes in and they're doing a decent enough job, back to the same old decent, what we considered a good job, but now that we are more people are more aware, or not to use the term woke, but to use it in the actual what it meant back before it got co-opted. Now that people are truly understanding their civic duty, that's it. We do not want the current government at all, no matter who's in office. The cross-team meeting should set a standard of what we mean by transparency, not that fake transparency that we are currently getting.
1, 2, 3.
Yes.
5.
I love it. So for me, that is just like bing, 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 like right exactly what I want to be involved in. Transparency, clarity, like accountability, like for me, it should focus on GSUS, right? Like we can always go external, like, oh, these people are terrible and oh, they're so bad and all this stuff. But we need to focus inward first and realize that, okay, you know, if GSUS got in control of the government, we would not be doing much better, right? You know, it's like if we aren't able to be transparent, aren't able to actually be functional, then how can we show? It's like lead by example, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. That's exactly how I feel when it comes to everything that we're doing, GSUS. Because if we're true to what they stand for, what they put in those papers, we are shaping what we want after, right? After we get through the waiting period of a general strike. We should be shaping it now so it's more smoother after, as opposed to, oh, we'll wait until after to shape what we need. No, we should already got a lot of the kinks, or at least know where the kinks are, so it's easier later and not difficult. And then people just like, hey, why did we even try to change any of this? Go back to how it was before. It was easier. You know, we want it to feel easier later as well.
I think there's also the unity of ends and means, where we need to be like building our future right now in the way we want to see it and sort of prefiguring that world.
Yes, actually, me and Britt were talking about that just last week, about how important it is to be not just waiting, right, but that we're actually building the world we want to see for after this general strike occurs. And after we build that power structure, like, what do we want to see? Because I just agree with you, you know?
Yeah.
For sure. That's what I spend most of my time on, is actually just building the decentralized democratic systems that we want to see for the future. Very, very cool. So I think we're good at this point. Like, I actually can't find the damn link to the click to meet or whatever it was. I don't know if you guys have that. The other one is CrabFit. The main reason I use CrabFit is because it's multi-language. It has like 10 or 15 languages involved with it, but it's the same sort of concept. So I don't know. Do we want to? I mean, I don't understand why I can't find. I thought it was click to meet, but maybe it's something else to meet. Let me just try to meet. Does that come up with anything? God.
Time to take a break. Please stop right down whatever you were about to say and take a break for 6 minutes.
All right, we're time for our break if we were actually trying to take care of ourselves. But we can keep going if we want to.
I'm fine with keeping going.
Yeah. So, I mean, most on GSUS, my experience is that we use the, you know, something to meet. I thought it was click to meet, but it might be something else. Do you guys know what I'm talking about or not, or what?
I have no idea.
No.
Pain in the butt. Let me try searching on a different Discord server. We'll go to California. So California to meet, baby. Where is it? Scheduling. Don't we have a scheduling channel or something? anyways, maybe I'll have to figure this out later. But we can just use the create a crab fit. Like crab fit's basically the same thing. So if you had like and we can redo it in the other one if we find it. But it's basically you're talking about the cross team meeting, and we can either do a day of the week or specific dates. So it would be like
I have. Well, who do we have left? I think mutual aid responded, newsletter team responded, but the rest haven't. I mean, I could every now and then represent the strategy team, but I would prefer somebody else because I'm constantly in the Discord and I really need to. It needs to be less me.
exactly.
Because when I say I mean strategy team, but not everybody will get that.
Yeah.
So
Anyway,
but
so
yeah.
I made an example of this. So for example, for me, what works best is in the evenings, 4 p.m. and afterwards for whatever day, right? So I would put my name and I would just put, okay, afternoon for, whoops, I think I have to push return. 4 o'clock onward, right? To like 7, right?
Oh, it's one of those. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically you're just voting on when we can actually do the cross team meeting, right? So when I was communicating with oops, I'm in the wrong server. I was communicating with Jeffrey. So Jeffrey answered to yes, that's probably the best way to do it. So we could just be like, boom, cross team meeting. This is ability to vote and get the session started. Okay.
Let me add the other teams. Because the only team that's not in that list is those two of them, Strike Fund and
Ooh, nice. Strike Fund.
which I do want to talk to you about that because I saw I was supposed to list the projects that members can join, and I saw your audit one. We could discuss that in the next open session.
And that goes into like strike funds. Like, for me, I was very, very serious that there should be an open, transparent place to oversee money, right? And so obviously there's private strike fund groups that oversee with all those things, but then there should be an auditing public side of it somewhere, right? That was one of the things that most people seem to agree on. Oh, here we go. Umbrella Disability and Allies GSUS Accessibility Community. Yeah, I found it. All right, so this is the one. Here's the link. Copy link. All right, so let me add that one as well. So this is the Disability and Allies team. Okay. And then you said the other one was like the Strike Fund group. So I can also look that one up here. Strike Fund. And one of the things that we need to be thinking about in relationship to organizing is that the only continuity is turnover, right? So everything that we do, we should just expect more turnover. And so how do you build teams with co-chairs and groups and have trade-offs and making sure that a team that we want to exist, a year or two from now still exist? It really has to be based on not a single person, And also downsizing too. Like sometimes it's just too many teams. You can have fewer teams take on more responsibility, but then at least they exist, Cool. All right. So I think we're good on all of this. We have clear goals. We've got the link to vote on scheduling, if that helps. Otherwise, we can just choose a time right now. And we can also split this up. We could do this every other week and then have every other week be, a group meeting.
Oh, definitely. But I think I just added the teams. I think I missed one. And hopefully people, if we get enough to respond, then we can have a good idea of a variety of times.
Yes. Let's make sure this link works still. Yes, it works. Perfect. Okay, cool.
So I added them for them to fill it out, and I'll probably just fill it out like in a bit.
I'll also link that here. So Aether Glade can vote on that too. Cool. So yeah, that all looks really good. I think we're out of time on this topic and we're ready to go on to the next topic. Or if there's any other last question on this, would be good.
And of break. Time to start. Please get focused on the session.
So what could our next topic be? Or do we want to continue discussing the cross team meeting or trying to schedule it?
Okay, I was just adding the groups. No, we can move on to the next one.
Okay. I had one thing I wanted to mention.
Go ahead.
Which you at some point were talking about archiving regular ideas, right? So that also overlaps with one of the models that we were trying to build, which is called the think hall. And the idea of basically like, you know, for me, my primary goal in the coalition and building groups is how do we build consensus? What can we get agreement on? It is so hard to get consensus and get agreement on something, even to build a proposal or even get agreement on what we're trying to achieve together, or have people even show up for more than one meeting, right? So for me, it's all about decision making and empowerment and building that. But a think call is like the opposite. The think call is just like, we just want to hear people's voices and get people's ideas out there and documented and engaged with all points of view. Like any and all points of view are fair game. Every perspective is equal and heard. And so that's sort of the idea of a think call. Like it's like a town hall and a think tank sort of together, you know? But that's about archiving regular ideas. So that came up in some of our Power Coalition models and Strike Coalitions from previous meetings, and we have a whole document on that. But we could also talk about other concepts of this, and I also wouldn't mind discussing, like, one of the things that you brought up last week was the idea of what we focus on as GSUS and how mutual aid, although important, is kind of sometimes feels like a distraction. You know, like why don't we focus on the strike? You know, because there's 1,000 other groups working on mutual aid. Anyway, so that's another.
Oh yeah, you know what? Let's talk about that first.
Yeah, that's a very interesting topic, because that was just like boom, right on the tip of my tongue all the time, you know. So do you want to discuss strategic organizing, right?
Yeah. I again, speaking from my perspective as the person with my affinities and identities. So yes, we have a lot of organizations building. And if we take it from the more other approach, the other side of the, I mean, obviously people in this group don't believe in the aisle, both aisles are bad. But speaking as someone who's moving from working with the government to moving towards saying that the government is just not going to help us, the Heritage Foundation, they have put in all the conservative groups together, and that's how they do it. And I think that's what we needed to do. They have created a way for everyone to feel like, oh, they're solving the issue. They don't need the help. They don't need to work with other organizations because they're solving the issue. And that's what makes the government be lazy, because they can just say, well, why do we need to solve it? That charity is doing it, and that's not how it should work. So I feel that the thing of GSUS connecting or being a connection to organizations and making sure that mutual aid is actually doing what it needs. There's some people that does mutual aid in communities that doesn't need that just mutual aid, and they're wondering why it doesn't work. I can give you an example of a job. They came from Chicago, and this actually happened. I can tell you two different examples of this. When companies come from one state and they come to Florida and they realize, oh, this is different. So we have a lot of organizations that do that. They go, oh, this mutual aid works in this area. I'm going to just go in that area because they don't have it, and I'm going to build it. But not actually going into the community and knowing if that mutual aid would work in the first place. So they're actually not solving what they think they are. and people are doing it out of complacent compliance. And that's actually a part of the workshop that's going to be occurring in March. Is that make sure you're doing mutual aid, that people are going because it is a need and not doing it out of compliance because the government doesn't offer this, so your organization's doing it or your system is doing it, so they're doing it. But that's not what's really solving the issue that they need. They need, but they have nowhere else to go for the surface level, so they're just going to. It seems like it's working, right? People are going, people are using it, but is it really solving the issue? If a strike happens, can that mutual aid solve the deep issue that the strike can, that the government can find a fracture in? So that's why GSUS. Now, personally, me, I'm into dual power using at the same time. I'm into building that mutual aid and doing sit-ins, building that mutual aid and doing strikes throughout the state uh, to keep checking for fractures, keep checking for issues so that when a real general strike is happening where everyone is really just doing without the government, that it works. Because we've done tested it several times. We've done did different direct actions before that point. But, I'm not going to push my ideology because then that becomes not decentralized, even if I feel like that is a better way to do it, because we don't want to be taken for surprise. The current model is, and this is not just one person that fought me on it, this is how a lot majority feels, I guess, that they want to build the mutual aid first before doing direct actions. And I believe it. I understand it. You want to make sure people have that cushion before you start telling them to put the stuff on the line. But hey, so that's where other organizations come in. Even though I personally would like to do both at the same time, then I can work with another organization that's already doing those direct actions and letting those people part of that direct action know, hey, GSUS has this in place of this direct action, so go do it. You want to do it? Go do it. We're protecting you. We got you. We can help you. We have the legal. So it works, and that works well too. It doesn't have to be GSUS performing the direct action and doing the mutual aid, because then we're not doing what we're saying we're going to do. That's just having people lean on GSUS, and that's not what we're trying to do. We want people to lean on each other. So I do understand why people have questions about the focus of mutual aid. We just have to collab more with organizations so we can really have that leverage of why we need to build the mutual aid to show people. So that's where that comes from, is working with the other organizations that's already has mutual aid. So we're not building stuff from scratch. Working with organizations that's doing direct action, so the mutual aid that we're doing can actually have use. And on top of that, working with both organizations to get more people to say, you know what? I don't have to use Uber. I have my community did this whole little transportation. Oh, you know what? I want to do this walkout, but I really don't want my kids at the walkout. Let me use that childcare system in my community for them to watch my kids so I can do this walkout. So that's where that comes from. It's going to take a minute to get there because we are going to be moving from a society that is individualistic to a society that people think about other people, and it's hard to. America did very well in breaking that collective mindset that humans naturally have. But that's it.
I love that last thing you're saying, that we want to move from a society that is individualistic to a society that people care about each other. Really, really good.
Time to pause. Please stop. Close your eyes.
Break, like breathing, relaxing, all that stuff, super important. So a couple things. One is that just general process and stuff like that, that was a lot. I'd have a lot to respond to. And we didn't get a consensus on the topic, just to note. And we also, turn off flow. So just one thing to respond here is I actually believe that utilizing AI for customization of individual support in a society is actually potentially actual good use of it. So for example, a lot of discussion of boycotts It's like, okay, boycotts are great, but what if we just organized to put Amazon out of business, right? So with AI, it should be possible to interconnect every single business across the world directly to every single house across the world and bypass Amazon. And just like you just order whatever you want to and it automatically comes to your door and through a cooperative system of networks, because everything's accessible to everybody with the click of a button, and it completely can be organized utilizing AI and cooperative systems, right? So, actually organizing, like you're saying, like how connecting everybody to every childcare system with the click of a button, right? So these are kind of things that are essential for, empowering people, getting them out of these, the Airbnbs and the Ubers and the Amazons and like all these just really archaic systems that exist because no one has accessibility to information, right? It's all, secured in a top-down system where we want to build decentralized systems and where everybody has access to them. So I think that can be done. From there, the primary thing when I hear the terms working with the organizations that already have the mutual aid, for me, that's not necessarily mutual aid. That is what I would call partnerships. Because there are already organizations doing mutual aid. It's like, trust them, believe in them. And also you mentioned very, very clearly that a lot of organizations doing mutual aid have a very specific type of mutual aid that they are organizing for a specific use that then gets wasted because they try to apply it to communities that is not the right format for. So for me, two things come up with that. One is that it's all about support systems. And then the second one, it's all about strike, strike, strike. If we organize the strike and we have a group of people who potentially, there's supposedly 20,000 people on our email list. What if we had a group of 100 people who laser focused on the strike and did nothing but organize the general strike with the understanding, the belief that other people in a parallel group are going to make sure that everyone has mutual aid. And we're stretching. We're stretching it. I think one of the reasons why this is good is because you're looking at some certain aspects of striking and getting people the aid that they need during the strike may never happen without the strike, right? That the strike itself is it's like there's a lot of technology we never would have created if we never tried to go to the moon, right? It's like if we never actually strike, we might not actually build the infrastructures to support the strike with the aid that needs to happen. So for example, if we look at we talked about 5 minutes about the Minnesota strike today. So there was a general strike in Minnesota, and it was the first in 100 years, basically, in the United States and in Minnesota, right? And or Minneapolis too, right? So they did a 1-day strike. So the first question is that really a strike? What does it even mean? Like, if you only do one single day, do you even have the ability to build infrastructure for aid, right? So that is a question that can be brought in. So overall, having a test strike and building the infrastructure around the aid for the strike, I think just trusting that the community can come together to do it and that we just plan and schedule and do the strike is important, especially if we're thinking about regional strikes like what happened today in Minneapolis, right? So then as far as just the last thing I was going to say is in the support systems, I would say this is a touchy subject, but the mutual aid model, like you're saying, is very cookie cutter, right? It's like, this is what is provided, and we're going to go to different communities and they're just going to get what they're going to get. And then we check it off our list so that, rich people or donors or whoever is building these infrastructures for compliance reasons can say that they did their mutual aid, right? So for me, it's all about individual needs and how do you support people, actual human beings? Because I think sometimes mutual aid gets focused on the aid and just distribution as opposed to thinking about, okay, what do actual people on the ground need? And for me, the starting point of that, which I might have mentioned last week, the analogy would be homelessness. Oh no, not homelessness, prison. If you want to end all people in prison, basically to get rid of all prisons in the United States, I would say the best way to do that is to prevent people from going to prison, as opposed to focus on getting people out. Because if you're only focused on getting people out of prison and people are continuously going into prison, you're never going to actually get the prison population to go down.
Time to pause.
You know?
Please stop. Close your
So anyways, I'll
eyes.
stop right there.
Count. 1, 2, 3.
I mean, we can talk about this
Open your eyes.
the whole rest of the talk,
Of
but
course, yeah. Oh
So-
shoot, I forgot to do the timer. This is why it's good to get consensus and do the timer, because I did forget the timer as well. So I don't know how much time we put in this. But anyways, keep going.
so, well, yes, we can trust people that's already building mutual aid, but you already brought up a good point that a lot of mutual aid is just people with money, tax write-off, because they feel like, I gotta do this for the community. But US is more focused on that individual need. Yes, I understand why people don't want to do test strikes, right? We don't want to do one day here, even though that's technically anarchism dual power. That's what you're supposed to do. You're actually supposed to be doing both. But I'm gonna get off of that because I can't speak for the greater. I think the issue is because we have so many people that have different ways of looking at it. This is what they came up with. It satisfied people who don't want to or can't, and we want to make sure that they can. Let's the women's walkout, right? Did they have true leverage? They did a one-day walkout. They didn't really plan any direct actions. Not direct actions. Actions for people to walk out to. They didn't plan any local shop meetup. Like, hey, walk out of your job, go to a local shop, and spend your money there. They didn't plan a farmer's market. They didn't plan a rally, a blockade. They just walk out. And yeah, that sounds cool. That sounds nice. In my opinion, that's conservative. What about me? I didn't walk out. I don't work. They didn't give no advice for people like that. Oh, well, you can't walk out, but this is something that you can't do. Because if the point is to show that we're willing to walk out of our jobs, if you guys don't change what you're doing, how are you showing that through people who can't walk out or who doesn't have a job, but they want to show that we want the government to change? I didn't show that I wanted the government to change. I didn't walk out. Am I truly wanting the government to change? Is the walkout signifying, like, me not participating? Did that signify that I don't want the government to change? See, that's the lack of planning, of actually using the working people. And I don't mean working like people with jobs. I mean like people who are not politicians, a part of that rat race, and people that are not rich. I mean the everyday person. So the point of GSUS and what we're doing, we're not trying to build stuff from scratch. If we can move a mutual aid that is done by someone, let's say Amazon's doing something, right? They have their own charities that they do, their own mutual aids that they do, turkey giveaways. If we could move it from them to the community doing it, that's what we're supposed to be doing. It hasn't been like a very vocal understanding, and that's the point of what I want to do with the mutual, and I, meaning the strategy team, want to do with the mutual aid workshop is to talk about things like that. And I think talking about it here and get it transcribed would also be useful so people can actually understand and not just talk. I also want to add, when it comes to I forgot the other part that you said. Hold on. I also want to add, with the mutual aid, we want an individual, also to strike. It's hard, you know. Yes, it would be great if we can test it out. If we could say, okay, teachers, we want this area, stop the Rust Belt. We want you guys to do it just to see what we're missing. But that's risky. People do this. People are willing to live with the devil that they know than the unknown. And I understand that. Not a lot of people can do that. Not a lot of people can say, you know what do I got to lose? Even though they already lost so much, you know? It's a weird psychological thing to know that right now we're losing a lot. What more can you lose? And I guess it's your life, your family's life. So it's you know, well, I guess what, like catch 22, we do test strikes and people like, oh my god, they don't know what the hell they're doing, and they all leave the movement, or we keep doing what we're doing and get stronger and hope it works out. I mean, it's hard.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard depending.
Another example for me is that, you know, I rather vote on doing the strike and voting no than just ignoring the interest, right? Because for me, if you can't convince the membership of the strategy, then what are you doing, right? So it's like, you know, let's vote on it. Let's just be like, who wants to strike now? Who wants to strike in just California? Who wants to strike in just this place or that place and do it soon? And then what is the criteria to be able to do a test strike? What would be the criteria to do a regional strike? What would the criteria to be? Are we there yet? Right? And actually challenging ourselves as a community. Oh, breathing. And then challenging the leadership to be like, no, we don't want to strike because of these reasons, right? And let's wait longer to get everything organized. Anyways, the last thing I'll say, because like we could, obviously I agree we could talk about this forever, and maybe we should talk more about it next week. But the only other thing I want to say is that for me it's all about, I use the term just like the support coalition, like just how do you support individuals and supporting individuals in their needs. So for example, for me, the big flag is, okay, Annandale, I can't pronounce this name. Oh my God. It's Aethergade, dyslexic, I don't know. Anyways, they obviously should be getting support. You know, understanding their identity, understanding where they are in their life. Is that food? Maybe not. But it's like, why is aid have to be about what someone else defines it, right? I feel like the aid should be focused on the individual. If they need help with their mental health, they need help with identity, they need help with this, let's just support them with what people actually need in the moment, right? And building those support networks and those life support systems and helping people with what they actually need, right? As opposed to predefining what, you know, support is. So that's for me the main thing that I don't quite understand about it, and I'm gonna call that I'm definitely not educated enough about it all. But overall, that is my goal, is building networks where we just support everybody for anything that they need, right? Just like, why limit it? Why not have the individual be supported as opposed to cookie cutter support, you know? So yeah, anyways, very, very cool topic, very interesting, exciting. And then it's okay, here are the options. Let's start voting on it and prioritizing it, and then trying to build consensus on what the group actually wants to do. And that's the hard part, you know, but I think that would be like the next step, right? You know, list all the options, understand the definitions, you know, how to build community and consensus around the strategy. Because we talk a lot about strategy, but then how do you actually build consensus around a strategy and actually move
that? That could actually be the next topic.
Yeah, let's do it. What would be the topic? Let's hear it.
Basically building consensus around strategy. It kind of sounds like a continuation, but it's not, because
no, not at all.
Technically, GSUS has their framework and their steps. So, do people agree with it?
Yes.
I do, because I know how I'm very flexible in my thinking. Like, I went from, where was I? Oh, I went from, okay, I thought we were doing direct action, to dual power, right? But not a lot of people, when they come into the group, they don't grasp it. So they end up not understanding it, so they be inactive members. So I'll just leave that there.
Yes, I want to talk a lot about inactive members and how that relates to consensus. So, yeah, I love the topic. I fully agree. I have no objection to this topic. So I love topic 3, building consensus. And I put the desired outcome, around strategy and other goals. Is like, what are we building consensus for, and how do you build consensus? How do you address inactive members? One thing for me is the concept of democracy of, not it's basically like no one is forced to vote, right? But the idea is that everyone is forced to pass, right? Like spending 3 seconds, Britt, do you want to vote on this? What's your vote? If not, you can pass, and you spend 3 seconds on each person. For me, that is what's missing. The idea that each person has a right to 3 seconds to get the word pass. Because what happens is we just pass everybody and just assume that everything is in agreement and how it's been moving forward. Check.
Yeah. I mean, right now, GSUS is trying to come up with a good one. Right, there's a project around it because they've been doing it so differently.
When you say it, can you explain it?
Oh, sorry.
Decision making?
They've been the voting consensus. I mean, everyone's new to this. Not a lot of people can do what I did and go and say, "Oh, you guys say decentralization? I have an idea. Let me go research that." Oh, you guys said dual power? Let me go research that and see if not everyone's going to do that. And I mean, that's why we are where we are with our government, right? But people that are going to do that, like me, I could be, I'm fine with agreeing and disagreeing and stuff and feeling comfortable because I know that you guys can't pressure me because that's not, if you guys do, then you guys are not saying 100% what you're about. But because people have been living in a society in which, you are pressured to vote, and if you don't vote, then obviously you're in agreement, even though you're not, you can't speak up. But in decentralization, you can speak up. You could be on the fence and still speak up, And this kind of, I'm about to digress, but this kind of goes back to the community support meeting in which being scared to step on people's toes. I told you how when I first came in and I was just trying to organize the decentralization, and some CFs were offended that I was in their state chat. And then this is prior to me having a full understanding of decentralization. I was like, oh, wow. You guys are like, this is kind of weird. I kind of want to leave, right? But I pushed through. Not everyone's going to do that. But I should have actually called them out on it and said, hey, you're being assholeish, but that's neither here nor there. But if I'm asking for information, as long as it's not information like, oh, what's your strategy, and asking for name and addresses of a member, if I'm asking, is there a CF in this chat, you should just give me the information. Because it's not like I'm asking, where's the CF located? I just said, is there a CF in the chat, and can they DM me? A simple, you could just not DM me. Another thing, being on a national team, there's no rigor to it, right? If you're a member, you can join because technically you should have been vetted by your chapter, right? Coming at me and saying you're not on the strategy team, that's kind of rude because technically that's not how it works. I am. If I say I am, I am. Now, if you don't want to give me information because I'm not a vetted strategy, that's a different conversation. But going back on topic, they didn't have no consensus on anything. Not strategy. No, what am I thinking of? Playbook? I don't know. No way of what that means, right? And So they were just voting on things very, I won't say flippantly, but it was no math about it. I don't know. There's a word, and it's going to come to me after this meeting, and I'm going to be annoyed. But so now they're doing it. They're going to come up with something. The next CF meeting is on the 7th. And I'm going to ask them, hey, where are we with this? Because members need to know, how do we come to consensus? Because they don't have nothing written. That's like one of the few things they don't have written. So I'm hoping that they get something written. But yeah.
Yes, don't get me started on the writing part, but yeah. So one question first, Mitch. We have Mitch in the call. Did you want to check in, or are you here just texting? Did you want to say anything? Where everything's recorded, broadcast, transcribed. So we're all in agreement on recording. Anyways, maybe you can't talk, but we just wanted to recognize we got a new person here. So in the context of the vetting, right? For me, vetting is a huge button pushing issue, and you said something on the context that to be in a national team you should be vetted. Is that changed? Because before you didn't have to be vetted at all to be involved in.
No, you don't have to be vetted.
Yeah, you don't have to be vetted. Exactly. So you should.
No, you don't have to. I was saying that I should have called that person out when they tried to say you're not on the strategy team.
Exactly.
When that's not how they work.
Yes, exactly. So then the question is, okay, one of the things that we talked about in relationship to, for example, in the strategy coalition, by just being here, you get value, you are a part of our co-op, you can vote on everything, you can be involved in every single decision for anything that you want to be involved in. It's just direct empowerment, right? But in GSUS, and specifically in the cross-team meeting, for me, one of the goals eventually is building, in that accountability, is building rights for members. Like, what does it mean to be a member, and what does it mean to have rights and build voting? So for me, the idea of the general strike across the nation is that it is not a membership-based organization. It's just a loose connection of a lot of people who have an ideal and want to see this general strike happen, but there's not really an organizing mechanism within it, and I think that could be built. So I don't think you necessarily need permission for that, but at the same time, there should be a way to understand, and this is a core component of consensus, that if I've been doing this for over a year, I probably put in 500 hours. For example, I built an entire global website and everything on the general strike, and tried to work with people in the global system for general strike and multi-language and all this stuff, and I got kicked out. So of course I'm scared to say anything, because basically if you go against the powers that be, my issue, and the reason why I think I got kicked out, is because I believe that at the global level, minimally, there should be some transparency, and that there should be a link, and we should be able to invite people to get involved.
Please stop. Close your eyes.
And I was booted. I got kicked out. And I got very heated about the value. I felt that it wasn't decentralized. I felt that it wasn't, you couldn't dissent, you couldn't have diversity, like you couldn't invite people in. There was, you couldn't document things. It was just very, very odd. And I felt like it didn't make sense for the United States to control the rest of the world when it came to general strikes. In fact, I think it should go the other way around, that we should be learning from other general strikes, because they happen all the time in other countries. And so anyways, there was clearly disagreement, so I stepped out, and then they kicked me out anyways, even after that. So what I don't understand is the idea that they utilize core value disagreements for spamming, and it's like, if you're in a heated discussion, that is considered grounds to boot someone and remove them. And so if you talk and you are against someone, you get a heated discussion, you can get booted simply by having an opinion, right? And so that brings up fear. I'm very scared to say things in GSUS, because there's a fear of just getting kicked out again, right? So anyways, I think that just kind of gives a little experience, and I think we're both on the same page that it would be nice to build towards consensus. So my recommendation is just ignoring the context of everything in the past and just focusing on human beings. And really all that matters is that, okay, we have me, we have Britt, we've got Stale, we've got 3 or 4 other people who are interested in it, let's build consensus with like a small group of 3 or 4 people, right? And then you bring it to a state, build consensus within a state chapter, build consensus within one group at a time. That's decentralized decision making. You don't need one huge decision of everybody simultaneously to make decisions. In fact, that's a really easy way to manipulate decisions. Check. You know, so if you downsize it to just, okay, what can me and you agree? What can the 3 of us, what can the 5 of us agree to? I think it's a really good way to move things forward in a step by step, you know.
Yeah, definitely. Before we get off this topic, yeah, it's hard, right?
Yeah.
Even I'm gonna go far into the future. I have a habit of doing this.
Cool.
But even after, like, I believe we'll succeed if we do it with the dual power anarchism and decentralization. And yeah, I do have a little fear that we're gonna create city states. I have fear that we can accidentally create another type of authoritarian leader. But if we do it and everyone is on consensus, right? If everyone truly understands what they're writing for, and they're not just writing for it because in the moment that they're writing out of fear and not out of fear and knowledge, because that's the part that people are missing. I notice is that the knowledge, right? Don't get me started on the general chat, but we can say coordination and blocking out what you call it, noise, just chattery noise. But we could say that for next week. But if we, like you said, you build it with a few. So let's say you're in California and you have an idea and you want to bring it to chapter, and I'm in Florida and I have an idea. And then, I'm like, oh, you know what? I know someone in Minnesota and I think they will agree with what we're doing. You're right. If we do it that way, that's how it should work. But that's how it should work as afterwards too. That's how it's supposed to have worked. That states reserve the right so that the federal government is doing something. These few states that say, hey, we think they're doing something wrong. Let's get more states involved to see if we're crazy or if the federal government is wrong. Something purposely went haywire, and we lost that, right? We lost the power of being able to challenge the federal government. In a building consensus way, right? So, I think if we keep that as the bottom frame, that we need to ensure that consensus is occurring, then we shouldn't fail. What's going to cause us to fail is if we do bum rush through voting, we bum rush through ensuring that we're accessible, then yeah, we're sure to fail if we're just going to repeat the same mistakes that got us here in the first place. But yeah, no, definitely that's very necessary for Strike Coalition to have that, because we see the ones where they're not doing that. You can tell, right? You can tell the ones that are not building consistency among their chapters, among their members, and because they think that because they have a lot of members that they're seceding. They have a lot of people on the ground. Oh, we are seceding, but are your members feeling heard? Because that really tells you if the power you have is real. But yeah.
Wow, that's really well said. So I do need to get going here pretty soon. So let's definitely wrap up and get some next steps on this topic, or just to continue it for next week. I love what you just said. I will just say that for me, I truly believe that the future of democracy is consensus-based democracy, which is very different from what we have now. And I think one of the core limitations of our current democratic system is that obviously I absolutely despise anything that's plurality rule and minority rule. Minority rule is a evil thing. Minority rights are extremely important, and stakeholding rights to make sure that every single minority stakeholder is taken care of and is heard is extremely important. And the way you do that is through consensus, right? So the biggest problem in majority models is that for at least 50 to 100 years, if not longer, maybe all, like the whole democratic model that we currently exist within, allows for majorities to supersede supermajorities. And that supermajorities can be outwitted and controlled by majorities. And that is evil, horrible, horrible thing that is never addressed. And you can see that across the board, whether you're talking about, education or healthcare or, just access to food, access to housing, just all the most basic things that people want. It's usually 80%, 60%, 75% support, and the majority can block the supermajority from getting their needs met, right? So in a consensus-based democratic model, you minimally have each viewpoint have a voice and is heard and documented so that everyone can be involved and engaged in the process. So if we can do that, I think that we'd be looking good. And so the question really is, okay, what are we consenting on? I think important things within national are the date of when and how we decide to strike and for how long and how we stop striking. And I think the demands are very, very important, like prioritizing demands and drafting them, etc. I don't think we should wait. We should engage people with it. And then obviously, strategy, communication, structure, accountability, conflict mediation, just like every single policy of how we operate should be reviewable and evaluatable. Because if it's not, there's just not transparency, and it's like, where is it in writing? Like right now, all we have is like moderation tools, which is great for a Discord where people are just chatting, like you're saying, a bunch of people who don't actually want to organize. But that's not how you run a movement, right? That's not how you run organizations and actually build policies that bring people to the table to negotiate in relationship to a strike, right? Anyways, I'll stop there. But I think we have a good, not a very long list of essential decisions that need to be consented upon, but they're very important decisions. Yeah, check. Oh, and I'm gonna just go.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I was just gonna go directly into my checkout. Ooh, and stretching too. So I would give the session a 7, actually a 6.9, because we did no breaks and there was you started a little late and a couple other things, so maybe a 6.8, right? And I am going to be working on the California framework for how do we build consensus. So I want to make sure California is fully based on consensus, and then I'm super excited about getting the cross-team communication team meeting going on. So anything I can do to help with that, including continuing getting people to schedule. And then I'm also going to send thank yous to everyone who showed up. Thank yous for everyone. And then I'll also be doing the summary for everything. And then, of course, I'm going to be continuing with all the co-op work. So lots of work. And then, same time, same place, like just do this again next week. Although there is the overlap with the community one, but it's just like, I don't know, whatever. If it overlaps, it overlaps. It's not a big deal. Check.
I think the community is every other week.
Oh, okay.
Wait, hold on. Did I meet with them last week? No. Wait, did I?
I think it's every week. Oh.
I think it is every week. I mean, it makes sense every week if we're trying to, support the community. Yeah. Okay. I'll try to make sure next time. I'm not usually the facilitator, so I should be on time, and plus I need to be on time, so we can actually really discuss. I do want to get more people on this, so it's not just me talking. I want other perspectives of GSUS, because I know how I'm thinking, and I think if we get more perspective, more identities, we can really shape what we want to do, and have a consensus on the demands, because, so we can have a feel of what people are saying and what they want and what they want to see. It also helped me with the strike guide, because I need more involvement. So maybe eventually this public coalition can go into talking about the strike guide, as well as a part of it, so that strategy team can create a very adaptable guide. Because if communication's cut off, no one's going to be able to call Britt and say, hey, what did you mean in this part of the guide? I want it to be adaptable for their community. So otherwise, this is great. I love this discussion that's also someone facilitating for it to be organized and have a point and have end goals. I think I like that better than open ended is also nice, but there's something structured like this with a goal is very useful for me to reflect back on my projects that I'm working on within GSUS and just in general in my community. So I do want to try to get more people involved, and maybe this will help them as well.
Beautiful. I love it. I love it. Cool. So yeah, let's check in again next week. Same time. We can always change as needed. And I agree 100%. Getting more people here, doing more outreach. My biggest fear on the outreach is I've been kicked off of the server simply to send reminders, right? Because if you send more than like, I don't know, 10 or 12 or 15 or whatever it is at reminders, you get booted automatically or something like that. So
What?
yeah, like if you do at Brit at or at educator or whatever at stale Fruit Loop at this, and you do a bunch of them, you'll get kicked off. And so there's no way to really remind people as like with a personal note at this time that I know of on the national server. So part of that might be just getting people into a different Discord server. So I can invite people to like a different Discord server and try to do that, and or
maybe actually we should do that, because then people feel more comfortable talking. Like they're not, maybe they have that same fear if they talk. Then even though GSUS has not been like that in my opinion.
Yeah.
They only have kicked people if they've been bad actors. If anything, sometimes they leave them in for too long. But yeah, anyways, so we can close this out. Yeah, maybe a second Discord server would work. Other option is I can send this to the CF chat and say, hey, can you guys post this to see if there's any members that want to just discuss things. But yeah, we can do both actually. But yeah, no, definitely. We can take into consideration once we have more people, right?
Totally. Nice. I gotta start driving here, but I'm gonna switch on to.
Can you hear me? Yeah, there we go. I'm on the phone now. You still there? Or did I lose you?
Yes. No. All right.
But yeah, all that sounds really good. And yeah, getting more people engaged involved. One of our policies is that once you hit like 10, 20 people, we try to break up into smaller groups. Oh no, great. All right. I'm in the car now, and like now the alarm is going off, so it's gonna be loud and obnoxious.
It's fine.
That's the call, but I gotta get going here.
All right.
Anyways, yeah, like splitting up into smaller groups for me helps a lot with consensus, because having 50 people in a meeting, I don't think is necessarily conducive to hearing people.
Mhm. Exactly.
Yeah. Anyways, I'll talk to you soon. It was a great call, very exciting, and I'll send out all the info. And and I'll also link the PEP. I mean, for me, the PEP place is good for communications, but I can link the other Discord for just like reminders and just getting notifications.
Yeah.
Like that. All right.
Yeah.
All right. I'll talk to you later. Take care.
Bye.
All right.
Time to start. Please get focused on the session.